What is up, guys, and welcome to my MCU Spider-Man 4 rewrite. This is my last attempt at writing the college trilogy. Let's get straight into it. We open to a spider crawling on the ground when suddenly a giant boot steps on it. Mac Gargan takes a breath of fresh air and steps out of Rikers Island. He smiles. He is a free man. A limousine then comes up and Gargan steps into it when he is face to face with Wilson Fisk. Fisk says that he heard about what happened to him and how he got into some trouble with Spider-Man. Gargan says that Spider-Man humiliated him and that when he finds out who he is, he's going to make him pay. But Fisk smiles, saying that he already knows who Spider-Man is. But why kill him when they can make him suffer in other ways? We then cut to a montage of Spider-Man fighting crimes and saving people. However, this montage also shows scenes of Peter Parker. And it is here that we are introduced to Peter's arc in the film. As Spider-Man, he feels fulfilled. He is largely loved by the city of New York, except J. Jonah Jameson and some other haters. But as Spider-Man, he is great. He stops crimes, and he gets the recognition. But as Peter Parker, his life is a mess. He can barely afford any bills, he struggles to pay his rent on time, and is only getting by from his crappy job as a web designer of the Daily Bugle. A big part of Peter's arc is also that now he feels lonely. He doesn't have anyone in his life that he can reach out to, and he doesn't want to. A part of him wants to reach out to MJ and Ned, but he can't. Peter knows that putting people close to him was what got them in danger. It's what happened to Aunt May, and it's what's almost happened to MJ. There will be scenes of kids trying to reach out to Peter, but he avoids them on purpose. He can't afford to get close to anyone because it's what will get them hurt. Spider-Man has to stay above them, and Peter cannot afford to have a lasting relationship with anyone. We will then get a scene of Peter visiting Aunt May's grave and expressing his concerns to her. We see how, throughout the film, Peter will always go to Aunt May for guidance because he has no one. This feeling of loneliness has really been eating him up inside. Peter tells May about how he started Empire State University, but he doesn't talk to anyone. However, there is this girl at school named Carly Cooper who Peter sort of has a crush on, but he is afraid of acting on it because of his past relationships. Peter isn't sure what to do, and before he can say anything else, an alert goes on about a crime happening, and we get a montage of Spider-Man taking down several villains. It'll be slow, lethargic. Peter's been doing this for a while, and he's nowhere near as new and inexperienced as he was before. While taking down some thugs, Spider-Man learns that they are connected to the criminal underworld. Someone dabbling their fingers in organized crime has been providing these villains with weapons, and it is tied to the upcoming mayoral election for New York City's new mayor. It is clear to Peter that something bigger has been going on behind the scenes, and he swears to get to the bottom of it. Spider-Man ends up finding Aaron Davis and webbing him up to a car before interrogating him about what he knows. Aaron doesn't know much, but reveals that several pieces of this organized crime stuff are all tied to something big, and that the man controlling it is rumored to be Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, who is running for mayor. After having his empire damaged at Hell's Kitchen, Fisk went to New York City so he could take over that as an empire, rather than just being stuck alone. Fisk was able to get all the charges against him dropped, and now is running for mayor. Spider-Man leaves after getting this information from Aaron, but finds it really disturbing and something he should be looking into right away. Peter will later be at his job in the Bugle trying to figure out leads on this Fisk thing when he bumps into Betty Brant. Peter and Betty have been acquainted at this point since they both work at the Bugle, but Peter always tries to avoid hanging out with her. Betty eventually manages to force Peter to go to a party that is being hosted so he will meet more people. Peter is reluctant, but agrees. Later at the party, Peter is with several students there until he bumps into one he remembers, Carly Cooper. Peter and Carly do genuinely have good chemistry as they begin speaking to each other, and Peter finds himself liking her. However, he begins to have flashes of Norman Osborn, how he nearly killed MJ and killed Aunt May because of the fact that Peter allowed himself to get close to people. He convinces himself that this is a mistake and immediately runs away, knowing that he can't allow himself to come into contact with anyone. It was a mistake to begin with, and Peter can't do it. Carly looks on confused, but seems to understand where Peter is coming from. We cut to Fisk and Gargan, who are discussing how to take down Spider-Man. Gargan clearly resents taking orders from anyone else, but Fisk convinces him that this is only for the duration. Spider-Man has been becoming a real problem recently. He has forces keeping Daredevil at bay, and those other heroes shouldn't interfere right now. But Spider-Man has been a real thorn in his side recently. He's been disrupting his operations, getting all the other crime families nervous, and soon Fisk won't be able to build his rep as the kingpin of crime in New York City. Gargan says that he wants to make him suffer, but Fisk holds the identity of Spider-Man over Gargan, knowing that he's able to control him. He knows that Mac is unpredictable, but he needs to be kept in check. Using his vast resources and supplies, Fisk makes Gargan a special suit. He is now the Scorpion, but they need a plan to draw Spider-Man out. So Fisk employs one of his best mercenaries that he's been keeping at his disposal. His name is the Prowler. Fisk tells Prowler that they need Spider-Man brought out of hiding so that they can squash him. They will bait the trap, and then Spider-Man will be theirs. With him out of the picture, Gargan will get his revenge. We cut back to Spider-Man swinging through the city, trying to figure out more about this connection to Wilson Fisk. He knows, after doing extensive research, that a lot of these new tech being given to villains comes from Fisk. But before he can think of that further, suddenly the Prowler appears from nowhere and attacks him. He doesn't say anything, he just lunges at him. Spider-Man is overpowered by him at first. The Prowler presents a hard physical challenge. We see in this fight how Peter's been compartmentalizing his emotions. Because he's been keeping everything so bottled up inside, it finally comes rushing out, causing him to lash out at the Prowler and overpower him with every single strike. Spider-Man gains the upper hand, knocking the Prowler to the floor as he begins webbing him up. But suddenly, behind him, a giant tail knocks him to the ground. The Prowler is helped up by the Scorpion, who laughs, turning to Spider-Man, saying that he thought the two of them would cross paths again. Peter at first doesn't recognize the Scorpion as he glares at him, but then he remembers after looking at him, it's Mac Gargan. Peter asks Mac why he's doing this. The Scorpion laughs, expressing his distaste for Spider-Man, saying that if anyone else pulled that shit on the ferry, they'd be looking at a life sentence. They'd be in prison. But give anyone a pair of tights and a costume, they get all the glory. Gargan is going to break him. After he figures out who Spider-Man is, he's going to come after his family. Peter doesn't want to hear it as the two begin to fight. Gargan attacks hard, letting all that anger out, but Spider-Man is still stronger. He's been at this longer, and Gargan is outmatched again as the Scorpion escapes with the Prowler following behind him. We cut to Wilson Fisk being seated at a table with other crime syndicates. They have began to lose faith in him, as it's revealed that they've put a lot of trust in him becoming the new mayor of New York, and they can get him elected, but it looks like he hasn't been dealing with Spider-Man. Spider-Man has been causing a lot of trouble for them, and they're starting to worry if they backed the wrong horse. Fisk assures them that he will take care of Spider-Man, and that when he's mayor, all of them will be rewarded. It's been hard for Fisk to build up his reputation as the kingpin in New York. Back in Hell's Kitchen, it was easier. The city was more mean, he could get more cops on his side. But Spider-Man's presence makes things difficult. However, Fisk assures them that Gargan is the person, the right man for the job. We cut back to Peter, who is continuing as Spider-Man to dismantle Kingpin's operations little by little, taking down his men, when suddenly, at one of the outposts, he runs into a female vigilante known as the Black Cat. She takes down the thugs herself before she and Spider-Man begin to talk. Black Cat will flirt with him a bit, and after being told the whole situation with Gargan, she wants to help. Peter will be reluctant to allow anyone else to help and says he can do it alone. However, Black Cat convinces him that two heads are better than one, and that she has a lot of leads in the underworld on Wilson Fisk that Peter wouldn't have access to. Black Cat's arc in this film will be convincing Peter to open up. Even though he is staying closed off, she still will try to get him to open himself up to others rather than shutting them down. After doing a lot of digging, both Spider-Man and Black Cat learn that Fisk is working with a shell corporation known as Roxxon, who want to steal a dangerous substance from a scientist known as Miles Warren. The substance is highly guarded in a security vault, and once Fisk steals it, he'll be able to sell it to the highest bidder. Together, Spider-Man and Black Cat break into the facility as they stop the Roxxon thugs from stealing the material. The Prowler is surveying the area, and then he jumps in. But Spider-Man and Black Cat manage to defeat him. However, as they are leaving the area, a small liquid substance, it's the material, attaches to Spider-Man's leg. However, he doesn't notice, as more chemistry between the two is shown as they fend off the thugs and manage to escape from the facility. Fisk is seen meeting with the other heads of the organized crime again. They have gotten more and more disappointed with his progress and with the symbiote being missing rather than them making a buck off it. They have been doubting his confidence, and they are considering removing him from the mayor's seat themselves. This angers Fisk. He snaps his fingers, and the Scorpion enters and kills one of the members. Fisk tells them to not doubt him. This is his power play. With his empire at Hell's Kitchen destroyed, he has nothing else to live for. This is his legacy. He will take over New York, and tells Gargan that he has something for him. After giving him a chemical he got from Miles Warren, which was based off him trying to replicate genetics for Spider-Man, Gargan is ready to finish Spider-Man off, and Fisk gives him permission to bait the trap. Peter is seen wandering the hallways at ESU, sort of aimlessly without any sense of direction. As he sits down, Carly Cooper walks up to him. She sits next to him, which surprises Peter, and asks if he's alright. He always looks sort of miserable. Peter says that he's fine, but Carly tells him that it's okay to not be fine. She understands what it's like to push people away, and we learn more about Carly's character. When she was younger, she ended up pushing away everyone she loved until she realized she couldn't keep living like that. If you keep worrying about losing people, you'll never experience the time left with them. Peter nods and thanks for her help. Carly says if he ever needs someone to talk to let her know, and hands him a piece of paper with her number on it before she walks away smiling. Peter smiles, as finally something good happened to Peter Parker. However, outside the building, the Scorpion then instructs his men to go in. They kidnap Carly right in front of Peter and stuff her in the van. Peter is shocked and horrified. The Scorpion sends a message to Spider-Man. If he does not meet him at exactly the place when he wants to meet, his men will kill his girlfriend, and there will be nothing Spider-Man can do about it. Spider-Man is enraged. There are no emotions that go into this. He puts on his costume right away, preparing to meet the Scorpion. What happened to MJ is happening again. He got close to someone, and now she could die. As Spider-Man swings and races to where the Scorpion is, he comes into contact with Black Cat. She heard about what happened and wants to help, and this is where Peter's arc comes full circle. He yells that he's fine. He's tired of people telling him what to do. He doesn't need any help. Black Cat just stays silent. She tells him about what happened to her. Her father, Walter Hardy, was murdered by the Kingpin. It was part of his way to dominate his empire. He needed someone else out of the picture. And now, all she's been doing is trying to make up for her mistakes. And it seems like ever since Spider-Man joined the Avengers and battled all these big threats, he didn't care about people like her. She tells him that she's done and grapples away. Peter eventually goes to Aunt May's grave in costume, telling her about how he's not sure if he made the right choice. Pushing people away was what led to all of this. Did he cause this? Did he bring this upon everyone? When suddenly, behind him, the Scorpion emerges, saying that now his suspicions are confirmed. He lunges at Spider-Man and overpowers him before he extracts a deadly venom from his tail. Spider-Man goes limp and falls to the floor. Scorpion tells him that finally, he got his revenge. He puts Spider-Man in the grave next to Aunt May, and he begins to dig and dig. Peter then wakes up in the grave to feel different. He can't believe it. He's buried right next, inside his mother's grave. Right next to her. Gargan didn't take her out. He has some sense of honor, but Peter can't believe it. He's filled with a vengeance inside of him as a voice is talking to him. Her grave. He defied her grave. He is going to find Gargan, and he's going to kill him. So Peter punches through the grave. He summons all his strength. He is Spider-Man. He sees his body covered by a new black suit and puts it all together. At Warren's lab, this must have happened, but he doesn't have time to think about it. He has to stop the Scorpion and rescue Carly. We cut to Fisk and Mac Gargan talking. Gargan is ecstatic. He's done it. He's destroyed Spider-Man. Now he can do what he wants. New York belongs to him, but Fisk has other plans. He tells Gargan smugly that he's decided to renegotiate the terms of the agreement, and reveals the truth. Fisk never wanted Spider-Man dead. He just needed him out of the way. And now that Spider-Man isn't a problem, he can win the public trust by saving New York from the menace that is the Scorpion. That would put him in the mayor's seat. He tells his men to make it look good, as he publicly announces worldwide that the Scorpion must be stopped, no matter what. Gargan is furious and escapes, planning to enact his revenge on Fisk now. Peter meets with Black Cat and manages to find her, but she wants nothing to do with him. He asks for her help, but she says that he can't just show up in a new costume after everything and expect that things will be different. He's selfish and only cares about himself. Peter says that she was right about him, about all of that, but he realizes now that he needs to let people in. He was wrong. The two of them can work together, and they need to stop the Scorpion before he destroys New York, and she reluctantly agrees. They both comb through surveillance footage, video reports, and eventually they find him attacking the Prowler. Scorpion beats into the Prowler, demanding to know where Fisk is when they stop him. And it's this where we get the climax of the film. With the symbiote and Black Cat's help, Spider-Man brutally beats the Scorpion. He punches Gargan again, and again, until he finally stops. Peter stops, and Gargan begs him to do it, to finish him off, to kill him, and Peter's about to until Black Cat stops him. She says, "Don't. This is wrong. He needs to stop. It's over." We then cut to the penthouse office of Wilson Fisk. News reports from the election are on the air. Wilson Fisk finally got elected mayor. The results were over and he won in a landslide. After single-handedly taking down the Scorpion, he was elected as mayor and has promised to help New York and make the city a better place. Spider-Man then crashes to the penthouse, saying that Gargan wasn't going to tell him who he was. Good thing he had a way with words. Fisk smiles, saying that it's good to finally meet him, but he had a feeling he'd get out of there eventually. Fisk never wanted Spider-Man dead. He needed him out of the way for the votes to come in. He then killed the other members of the underworld who doubted that he would win. Now that he has won the election, he had no need for Garkin. He won, and Spider-Man played right into his hands. In anger, Spider-Man lunges at Fisk, but even with the suit, it's like hitting a brick wall. Fisk then pins Spider-Man to the floor, saying that there's going to be some changes around here. He can help old ladies cross the street, but the moment he even tries to get too close to his operations, well, it might be hard to find a DNA identification, but everyone has a birth certificate. Mr. Parker. Spider-Man is shocked. He jumps out of the window, leaving Fisk to bask in the glory. Peter meets with Black Cat in the aftermath. She says that she's glad they can start working together. She's glad Peter learned to open up to others, but she has to go. One last swing, Spider-Man and Black Cat swing, as we cut to black. But there's a post-credits scene. Peter is seen going on his first date with Carly Cooper. They knock on the door when it is answered, and they see the person there. It's MJ Watson. She says, "Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot."